Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. You're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of anywhere else? And that's because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They say this all the time. They talk down to us. They think we're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube, Twitter. But I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. Without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of First Things First, talking about, should the Buffalo Bills still be considered a top tier contender, especially after they just lost Diggs and all of that. So I'm on the fence about this. I still think the Bills can be competitive, but I think we put so much on Allen's plate and expect him to do so much with relatively little that I think it just is bound to catch up on to him. We keep talking about how he's an animal and he's a beast and all of this, and he doesn't get injured. Well, eventually he's going to. Like, it's just going to happen. It's a numbers game, and it's just like you keep tempting fate. And so I just think that I do like these 14, or what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these 5 teams. I do think that that's, pretty fair right there. But in terms of, should they drop lower than all of this, or should they drop out of like the top 5? Like, no, I still got them above the Miami Dolphins, for instance, or the Chargers, or I'm trying to think of other realistic teams that could potentially coming, the Steelers even. So I just think that based off of that, but not so much just because I think the Bills really have a chance. Like, I'm not really looking at the Bills as like a true contender, right? Like, they absolutely can beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. Like, that I'm not going to say, because they'll get out-coached without a doubt.
They've remade the roster, moving on from Tre'Davious White, Jordan Poyer, Mitch Morse, Gabe Davis, Leonard Floyd, and now Stephon Diggs. Odds to win the AFC: Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, Texans, and Bengals all tied for the bronze medal. Brew, excuse me, do you still consider the Bills a top tier?
Are those
contender?
odds post-trade?
Yes.
I think those odds are ridiculous. They're no longer a contender. Contender for the AFC East? Sure. They could still win the AFC East. I think this improves, if healthy, and we'll get to this, the Jets' chances.
Oh, Brew's
it
gonna
really
be
does.
on. Oh, yeah.
It really does. I'm just saying.
I'm so excited.
But Buffalo is worse. And they have lost, we know, not only Diggs, but I think 6 of their 8 captains from last year are gone.
Too, yeah.
Right, they got Josh Allen and Von Miller, and we know how old Von Miller is. Now, I do think, and they lost Jordan Poyer and some other defensive players, I do think their defense will still be pretty good. Wow. Because last year they had the injuries, Matt Milano and other players were injured.
That's true.
And they still were a top 6-ish defense. All right, so Sean McDermott is good on that side of the ball. I think defensively they're still going to be good. And look, Josh Allen is still going to be Josh Allen. Well, I still think he's a very good quarterback.
Then they're fine.
No, they're not fine. I mean, I think they're fine in terms of contending for this division. Are they?
Nick is such a snake in that regard, because he's trying to use this as a way to keep, pulling down Josh Allen. And this is why he's a snake, because when he wants to talk about the QBs that Patrick Mahomes beats, or who the Chiefs are beating, and wants to talk about how difficult the competition is, or this or that, he talks about Josh Allen being great and how amazing he is, especially when he's trying to sell the argument that Patrick Mahomes is better than, say, Tom Brady. But then he wants to come out and be like, well, if Josh Allen's so great, why can't he win? Like what? He should still be able to win despite all of these things. And it's just ridiculous. And again, I said this in a previous video today, actually, with First Take. This is driving me nuts at this point, because he wants to keep selling this narrative that Patrick Mahomes is doing it all himself, that he's winning with just a ragtag group of guys. Help me make sense of this, especially for you, because since you guys are watching this video, so that means you like First Things First. Nick Wright all season has talked about how amazing Pacheco is, right? How he's a beast, how he runs like he's on fire. Rashee Rice, he kept calling him Jerry Rice, that he's actually a great elite talent, that he really only fell down because he's had questionable, things, a checkered past, not unlike what he's just done, with his car crash. So again, which is it? And not to mention, is Travis Kelce one of the best tight ends in the history of the sport or not? Yes or no? Did they have a top defense in the in the NFL right now? Not the history of the NFL, but in the NFL, yes or no? Did they not shut down Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, who had a high-flying offense? Yes or no? Is Andy Reid one of the greatest, if not the greatest, head coach, especially the offensive head coach in the history of the NFL? Yes or no? So this idea that Patrick Mahomes has had nothing, and yet he's still been able to just find a way to win, gee golly, is insane to me. Absolutely insane. Let me know when Josh Allen has any of those things. Not to mention Spags is arguably the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. And again, these are all things that Nick Wright has said himself. And yet he wants to now act like that those things didn't exist, or that this last Super Bowl wasn't led by the defense predominantly, which Nick Wright has also admitted. So let me know when Josh Allen has had any of those luxuries. Let me know when Josh Allen has one of the best tight ends in the history of the NFL. Let me know when he has one of the greatest offensive minds in the history of the NFL. Let me know when those things all come together. I would love to see it. But no, they want him to be able to win with a coach who probably shouldn't even be coaching right now. Multiple OCs, a fired OC in the middle of the season. I mean, it's just like, I don't know what you expect him to do. A disgruntled, wide receiver in Diggs who caused trouble since last season. I don't even mean this past season. I mean the season before that, who's been causing trouble for the last 2 seasons with Josh Allen and the Bills. I don't understand. I mean, like, it's just these, Nick Wright acts like he's Mr. Consistent or whatever the heck he refers to himself. And he's easily one of the most inconsistent, what are these people called? Analysts, commentators? I don't even know at this point. I don't think he's an analyst. An opinionist, because it just is insane. You can create your argument and tell me that Patrick Mahomes is the best, which I'm not debating. I'm not disputing that. So do not come at me and say how good Patrick Mahomes is. I know Patrick Mahomes is amazing. Patrick Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the NFL and may very well retire as the true bona fide GOAT. Okay, that is definitely in the cards. I think Patrick Mahomes is unbelievable. But the fact that he's taken this as a way to keep taking digs at Josh Allen to just elevate his boy Patrick Mahomes, it's just wrong at this point, because it's not accurate. It's poor analysis. It's poor commentary, and it's just sleazy. I find it genuinely sleazy at this point.
They are legit. I think they're behind. I think there's Kansas City and Baltimore. Mm-hmm. I think Houston and Cincinnati, I probably have ahead of Buffalo as well. So I think Buffalo is one of those teams that can make the playoffs. I think probably will make the playoffs. Okay. No longer definite, but not a contender, not a threat to get to the Super Bowl.
So I agree with you, Brew. But the media is not allowed to have this take, for the record. They're
the third?
No, they're not allowed to have this take that the Bills all of a sudden are not contenders. It's not allowed.
Why?
Because you at some point, there has to be a consistency in thought and what you say.
Oh, God, I can't wait to see what he's going to say.
For the better part, up until basically the second to last football game played this past year, I heard, and everyone heard, Mahomes Allen, Allen Mahomes. Brady Montana, or Brady Manning, Manning Brady. 1A and 1B. Listen, they're both superhumans.
Oh,
they're
81% of the offense.
Yeah. They're unicorns. Yeah. Okay, so how would Patrick Mahomes do it? Would Patrick Mahomes be a contender without his top receiver if they traded him away? I don't know. He's the back-to-back champion. Would Patrick Mahomes
I already went on this whole rant, so I've already disputed and I didn't watch this clip. I wish he said that's all first, and then I went on my rant, but I've already disputed everything that he's just about to say. Everything that he's just about to say. Because I'm not going to just say it again. I'm too tempted just to rehash it all.
Mahomes be a contender with one of the worst receiving cores in the league? I don't know. They just won the title throwing a pass to a guy the Jets didn't want anymore. So I think so. So if you...
Who was wide open because of Andy Reid's brilliant scheme and play calling.
Are on the record, on your...
Does Josh Allen have a play caller and a play designer that can do those things? No.
Podcast or your television show or your column on NFL.com saying Josh Allen is that guy, then they are still contenders. You're not allowed to all of a sudden try to escape through the back door of, no. Well, now who could do it? We know who could do it. The guy that you have propped him up against. But guy
who's saying he's, and I get it, during the season there were people singing Josh's praises. Last few years there have been guys saying they think he's better than Mahomes. Right now, like after Mahomes won this Super Bowl, who's saying Josh Allen is as good as Mahomes? Forget better.
Right, but my point is this.
I am saying he is as good as Patrick Mahomes. He's probably a couple percentages under Patrick Mahomes. So I still have Patrick Mahomes edging him out, but that's because he was being able to be developed by Andy Reid.
That is because people who claim to be like tastemakers, their opinion is like those things outside of car dealerships, the wobbly guys through the wind.
Wobbly guys.
This season, two people got first place MVP votes. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. This season, I watched in late January, television shows do Bills, Chiefs, tail of the tape, check marks on who has the advantage in which spot. And quarterback, for many people, went to the Bills. So I'm saying if you were one of those people, you are not allowed to now be like the Bills are out. You're not allowed.
Add some friction to the show?
Sure.
So we're not just... Dalton Kincaid is not Travis Kelce.
They used a first-round pick on Dawson
Thank
Knox.
you, Wilds.
Dalton Kincaid's that, and I was told Travis Kelce is not Travis Kelce. Again, like there are drawbacks at times, Wilds, to being Mr. Consistency, but I sleep well at night. I don't worry like, oh, how am I going to have to figure this out when I'm...
He is the most inconsistent person. It's unbelievable.
On TV tomorrow. And I'm just very curious on how folks are going to deal with this situation they have painted, this corner they've painted themselves into.
What is the number one drawback?
Number one drawback to being Mr. Consistency? Jealousy.
On the other side of the trade, the Texans.
No, we'll talk about that later. Yeah, I do not watch these clips before. So because if I did, then I wouldn't have said all that. I would have waited for him to say it, and then I would have given my counter. I feel weird because I gave my counter before I knew that he was gonna say all those things, like that, and then I was like seething, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta counter this, and I'm like, but you just did. You just went on a whole rant about it. So this was like a little bit reversed, definitely. I kind of learned my lesson there, I guess. But but Wilds only says Kelce. Again, what about all the other players? What about the other weapons? Whether it be Chris Jones, Spags, Andy Reid. Again, is Rashee Rice, all season, he kept calling him Jerry Rice. That's what he kept saying. He kept calling him Jerry Rice. And how good and amazing Pacheco is. And how amazing Andy Reid is. Like, he says all those things. Stop acting like that. Stop it. Stop acting like Patrick Mahomes is just doing this all by himself. It's just not true. It's absolutely not true. And it's getting old, honestly, at this point to me. It really is. Like, we have to defend Josh Allen every single week because the guy was drafted to an absolute failing, terrible an organization that's done nothing for like, I don't even know how long, at least 30 years. I mean, come on. It's just ridiculous. And Andy Reid, and people then want to act like Andy Reid had no success. Like the dude didn't make, back to back NFC championship games and then a Super Bowl with a Hall of Fame quarterback. Won the division 4 years in a row. That is unheard of. In this day and age, everyone is winning or doing anything with Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Andy Reid did it with a non-Hall of Fame quarterback with no wide receivers. The 1 year he actually had a legitimate wide receiver in Terrell Owens, they went to the Super Bowl and lost by 3 points to Tom Brady and the Patriots. Okay? Make no mistake about it. Andy Reid is an unbelievably amazing coach with or without Patrick Mahomes. He is obviously better with Patrick Mahomes. No doubt about that. But that's like arguing that Bill Belichick is a scrub and a terrible coach. And that's just not true either. Okay? It's just not true. So this whole idea is just, I find it so exhausting to think that Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen were given this like equal footing to be able to succeed in the NFL. And it's just crazy. He goes, oh, their tight end was a first round draft pick. Is he the first or second best tight end? Because I know Nick Wright believes Travis Kelce is the best tight end in the history of the NFL. He said it. So yes or no? Is Josh Allen and the Bills their tight end? Is he the best tight end in the history of the NFL? Yes or no? Well, he knows that's not true. Who has a better coach? Okay, we know the Chiefs do. Who has a better defense? Yeah, we know the Chiefs do. Yeah, exactly. At this point, without without Diggs, you know, it's like who's receiving core do you have it? Who's better? Especially now that they have Hollywood Brown as well. And who knows what's going on with Rashee Rice. I assume he'll be able to play. At most, he'll get suspended a few games, but I don't even know if that will even happen. You know, so it's just crazy to me. It really, really is. You can celebrate Patrick Mahomes without living in a fantasy world and without trying to pull down other players for their lack of success because of very concrete reasons. Because I guess under this logic, then Justin Herbert is just a scrub because he's never done anything. So he clearly can't play. He's not good enough. He's not a difference maker. He's just not good. Okay, sure. I guess that's true too, right? And I guess Joe Burrow is really not that good. I guess like none of these quarterbacks are actually that good. But you know, even though they literally almost lost in the Super Bowl against Brock Purdy, who, you know, Nick Wright thinks is an actual scrub, who thinks that he's not good, and yet they literally almost lost to them. Not to mention the reason why the Chiefs beat the 49ers was not because of offense, because of defense, because their defense stood their ground. The defense held the 49ers in key moments. When Patrick Mahomes threw a terrible interception, the defense bailed him out completely. And when the 49ers were rolling, the defense bailed them out and got the Christian McCaffrey fumble. Not to mention all the other bizarre things that happened in that game, like, you know, the fumble on the punt return, as well as Greenlaw getting injured. So yeah, I don't know what it's going to take for people to see the reality of the situation, but I see more delusion and bias at this point around, this is my honest opinion, my honest of since doing this channel. I see more delusion and bias around people who are praising the Chiefs, hating on the Bills, or specifically Josh Allen, than anything else. Less delusion than Eagles fans, Cowboys fans. Colin Cowherd was recently talked about how delusional Miami Dolphins fans are, or the 49ers thinking that Brock Purdy, you know, some guy was all up in the comments recently just telling me apparently he watched every single Brock Purdy video I ever did, which is, hey man, I appreciate it, but I only have so much to say about Brock Purdy right now in on April 3rd. But it's just the delusion of trying to elevate Patrick Mahomes and pull down Josh Allen, you can make the argument that Patrick Mahomes is unbelievable and the Chiefs are unbelievable. They are. They are a dynasty to me. I said that. They are a dynasty. Patrick Mahomes is unbelievable and is the best quarterback in the NFL. But my other argument is make no mistake about it, that a lot of things needed to happen for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs to be that. It's not just Patrick Mahomes. It's not just one singular thing. Not to mention the Bills and Josh Allen have not been a competent organization, okay? They just have not. And if you cannot see the benefit of being drafted by Andy Reid and having Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill and Chris Jones and Spags and all of this, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, because you're not going to see it then. And I already know the one guy is going to be all up in my comments on this one. You know, Mahomes refers to himself as Mahomes, and if someone who can see through this delusion, please help me out here. I would, you know, I need some more some more ammo here, because I feel like I just have to just keep repeating the same thing again and again and again, but it still doesn't land. I mean, it's just mind blowing to me. It really, really is. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours on this one for sure. Do you think the Bills are still contenders? And what do you think about Nick Wright's ridiculous rant about how, you know, you can't say that about Josh Allen and the Bills, yada, yada, yada. Let me know in the comments below. And please don't forget to subscribe. As I said, we are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.